internet, I will beat your ass like a Cherokee drum. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And one thing I can guarantee, no one's ready for this. My name is Shahir Dowd, and this is
the only podcast about movies, specifically the film. Shahir, say it. Say it. Say the name.
The Fat and the Fornications.
Try again. You got it. I believe in you.
The Flip and the
live a quarter mile at a time. For those 15 seconds or less, right now you're free. Go.
The Fate of the Furious. Now tell me, before we go on, what are they furious about? What are they so angry about?
They are the Furious. They're family, mi familia. You gotta know this going in, Shahir.
Are they still fast? They're not fast anymore.
Oh, they're so fast.
But they're still furious.
They're so furious.
Is it gas prices? Is it roid rage? Is it like road rage?
It's everything. It's 100% everything.
Angry.
Yeah, but they love each other.
Are they like that guy Ben Stiller played in the the superhero movie Mr. Furious?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'll go with whatever analogy you want to give because we're talking about the Vin Diesel classic franchise. Specifically, the classic franchise in the newest installment in the classic, some might say, seminal franchise, Fast and the Furious. Guys, welcome to episode 99.
99 episodes.
99 Red Luft balloons. I don't know.
What is that?
99 Red Luft balloons. Yeah, you know. But no, we are so psyched. Well, no, let me rephrase. I am so psyched to be talking about this film. Shahir, I know.
Well, look, I'm curious. I was curious to see this film because, look, the cat's out of the bag. Here's the thing. I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie before, and
which is why I'm so psyched to talk about it with you.
I just dove straight in. Number 8. I look, and I'm going to correct that. I feel like I might have seen the Fast and the Furious.
You don't remember,
but I don't. And it wasn't like I went to a movie theater and saw it. It was like,
of course,
someone was playing it, and I might have watched. I remember like a warehouse car scene,
sure,
with Paul Walker,
80% of them,
and that's about all I got. That's it.
Oh, well, I mean, I want to dive right in, but we should do a little housekeeping before we get to it.
If you want to recommend other films that I may not have seen any of the franchise installments for, you can do so at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod. Go to our website, onlymoviepodcast.com, and make all the suggestions you want. I swear to you, I'm not going to listen.
No, but I will. And if you go to iTunes, doubly so. Leave us a review. 5 stars would be wonderful, but we'll take as many as you can spare.
I want to give a special shout out to Will, who emailed us, who requested us to review Speed Racer, which I think will make a great companion piece to the Fast and the Furious movie. But also who annoyingly, sorry, Will, we love you getting your emails, but annoyingly requested that we do a marathon of the Fast and the Furious series. And I'm saying right now, I've got veto rights. This is the UN and I'm America all over this shit.
Well,
ain't gonna happen.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Keep suggesting it. Just keep writing it in. I don't think that's a problem. Hell, if anyone else wants to keep writing that in, I mean, we are a democracy here at the only podcast about movies.
No, we are a dictatorship.
Oh,
of
shit.
2.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Dictatorship of 2.
That makes it hard. If we get a third person, they need to be a tiebreaker. Maybe Will can be the tiebreaker. No, I actually fired back on that email as well. And I'm sorry, Will. It was just, I'm giving the more pragmatic excuse of it actually is a timing issue due to the fact that we're coming up to, this is just being released. We're coming up on episode 100 next week.
And there's no way you would want to make episode 100 the Fast and the Furious movie?
I would do the marathon to be it. It would be, we have to do them all in one thing.
And like we did the OJ film, which you struggled with.
Yes. I would then return the favor. No,
wait, that was me paying you back for the
I know. Our entire relationship is just vengeance. You know that, right?
You know what's funny is right now when you said that, you really looked like Ludacris. There was just something in the way you rolled your eyes and were holding your head up. I was like,
did we just have a Luda Tyrese moment? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I think has just happened.
Oh, I love it. I love it. See, you're in it. You're deep now. Are you part? Well, actually, I guess,
not part of my familia.
No, you might be by the end of this. I'm gonna reserve judgment until the end.
Okay.
So Shahir, you've had no history with this franchise. You've just heard about it.
I know it exists.
Yeah, no, I know, but like you haven't had experience with it. It's not a thing you've experienced.
To be honest with you, because I keep hearing that they're fun, and
sure.
I was like,
but you hate fun.
I mean, I'm marginally opposed to fun. In the wrong quantities.
All
But I know you love cheap thrills, and one of the things I know about this franchise is it's all about the cheap
This
thrills.
is the most expensive cheap thrills I think you can get.
This is the cheap, expensive thrill?
Yeah, I think so.
And I know that, like, Will even pointed this out in his email, that the chronology of these films is absolutely batshit backwards.
Oh, yeah. So if you're interested, ladies and gentlemen at home, it goes, I hope I get this right. 1, 2,
Also,
4.
before you do this,
No,
before you do this, I want to say I don't care.
That's great. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3, 7, 8.
Don't care.
I think that's how it goes. Please write me and tell us if I am wrong.
And as of the recording of this particular episode, they've pulled in $500 million in weekend box office.
And it's Monday. We're recording this on the Monday after it got released.
Rivaling The Force Awakens to be possibly one of the biggest releases of any franchise. Possibly the biggest number 8 in a series of all time released on over a weekend. I know how much you love the contextualization of box office numbers.
I do. I do. It fuels me.
So
much like a NOS system installed in the back of my Sentra.
Matt, I gotta ask the question. I'm guessing you've seen, oh my God, this grin on your face. You are white ludicrous right now. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I'm going into the verse. I've never been repeated, but I won't stop now.
You have probably seen many of these many times.
Okay,
I'm guessing.
So no, this is an interesting, and this is why I was psyched for you to see it.
Okay.
It's not because I honestly think that you wouldn't enjoy it, because and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought if he's going to like this franchise, he's going to have to start liking it now.
Okay.
Because when Fast and the Furious came out, I fucking hated it.
Right.
I hated the first one. I hated the second one. The third one, I didn't particularly mind, but it didn't grab me.
That's
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you know.
Yeah.
You acted like you don't.
Will sent me
I know.
emails.
And then the fourth one, it was probably my least favorite of all.
Okay.
But the fifth one.
What's the fourth one called?
It's called Fast and the Furious, or Fast and Furious. They was Fast and Furious. No, the Fast and the Furious. Fast and Furious, or Too Fast, Too Furious, then Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, then just Fast and Furious, then Fast 5, then Fast 6, I think Fast 7, and then Fate of the Furious. I might be getting some of the ending ones wrong. Doesn't matter. The point of this is, my friend, that I did not like this franchise when it was just a kind of nonsense street racing movie.
Okay.
And what I think is very interesting about this, it's an interesting conversation to have about franchise. I know we've talked about sort of the Marvel side of franchise being setting up the next movie or in a series of sort of like multiple movie spin-off type deals. This is sort of a rags to riches, a bit of a tale.
Many riches.
Because this was a franchise that everyone thought was dead in the water by the third one. They couldn't even get people to come back for the third one. They had a whole new cast. And then when they got Vin Diesel and Paul Walker to both come back for 4, it still wasn't that great, but it got enough, I guess, to get the 5th one. And then that's when The Rock got involved and things got to be a little more crazy. It evolved from a street racing flick into
Mission Impossible?
into like an upgraded Mission Impossible, or like an actiony. Yeah.
Okay.
And updated for the times. And I'm not saying that doesn't have its faults. It 100% does. And we'll get into that and why. But you look at this and you look at the progression, and you can't because you haven't seen them. But you look at the progression from 5, 6, 7, and 8, and it just keeps ramping up this shit so nuttily to the fact that, like, here's the little franchise that could. This was a fucking street racing movie that now has turned into Mission Impossible meets James Bond meets probably Speed Racer to a point. Like it's
nothing. There's nothing quite like Speed Racer.
But what I'm saying is, it's such an interesting tale to me that I can't think of another franchise that has turned itself around like this. I don't think there is one.
I mean, you could argue the James Bond franchise has done this many times. Like, they have reinvented themselves many times over.
Reinvented, but it's still the same. It's still the same genre of spy movie. I argue
transcended what it was to become something.
To become a totally different genre. They're not. I mean, yes. Did this movie open with the street race? Sure.
Alien and Aliens is
right. I'm saying, but like consistently, like Alien was a success.
Yeah.
Aliens was a bigger success.
Alien vs. Predator was not. I'm saying,
If Aliens, here's the deal. If Aliens comes back and transitions itself into like high drama or some other like nonsense other kind, which it can.
Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
I know,
out?
but to get it to have the sort of the level of shine that this does,
they're not doing it with the same stars,
Yeah.
which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It seems like this franchise that I was kind of like, I knew people in New Zealand who were into it because it had to do with car racing.
Yeah.
And then when I went to see it at the movies, it was a packed house. And is it weird? I don't know when this happened, but is there a thing with this movie where it's cool to like take selfies during the movie?
Oh, I don't think so.
Because everyone in my theater was doing that, and then I was talking to my brother online, and he is currently in India,
Okay.
and he was watching it there, and he said, "Yeah, people were doing the same thing there."
Maybe there was a campaign asking people to do it, which would be obnoxious. But
only in 2 theaters.
maybe just that one in India, and then wait, you have a brother?
I do have a brother.
Oh, wow.
Why is everything I tell you about my story, about my life, seem to surprise?
You are an enigma wrapped in a
riddle.
sea of riddles.
Wrapped in hot bacon.
Wrapped in the hottest. Well, it was hot bacon, and now it's more like room temperature. It's been sitting out in the tray for a little
Fat's
bit.
getting a little solidified.
Yeah, I mean it's the end of the buffet,
Right.
But no, I don't know anything about your Pat. You are a complete mystery to me, sir. I'm learning things as we
Listen,
go along.
We won't talk about the period in Mexico that shall never be spoken of.
Oh no, I knew about Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, I was there. But moving on. So yeah, I was just saying how I was psyched for you to start here because I feel like this is a point that is what could mirror 5 for me. Now, I understand that the bridge of fun hating that we have to cross to get to your lizard brain pleasure centers is chasm-ness. It's huge, and I'm inventing words for it because the length at which this bridge has to span.
Was this and nuttily was the other word?
Maybe, yeah. Nuttily's a good word.
So we have to bridge this chasm of nuttily.
Whatever this is,
the Nuttily Ravine.
The Nuttily Ravine, and you will get to the other side. I have a weird amount of faith, and maybe it's misplaced, and that's fine. And if you know what, if it is, I can say that I gave it a shot. My friends back when I lived in Jersey made me watch these movies, and I thought I was better than them, and then I realized I'm no better than Fast.
Well, here's the thing: there's a presumption in what you just said, which is that you have faith in the movie. So you have faith in a movie that you hadn't seen at this point.
I had faith. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, because this is the other thing about these Fast movies. Now, this is the great part. Since 5, I work on precedent. You know this.
Right.
All these movies have done, it's been formula to formula to formula to formula.
Okay.
And now this movie, and this is almost why it felt like even like going home. Like, I knew it would obviously start, and this is, I guess, spoilers, but no, it's not if you've seen any of these movies. It would start with a street race. A random fucking street race that has nothing to do with anything, that some character in it would come back in a minor way later on in the film.
Does that happen all the time?
Oh, yeah. And then I also knew, and this again is not quite a spoiler, that it would end with a cookout. Every one of these movies ends with a cookout and Coronas and having fun with your family.
So everything in between that is just, it doesn't really matter as long as you have the cookout at
Great
the end.
action points, cars going fast, stupid stunts, and The Rock being the fucking Rock.
Also, unprecedentedly high skirts.
Oh no, the skirts have progressively gotten higher.
To the point where at this point I was like, you're not actually wearing a skirt. It seems like you're wearing like a waistband that kind of drops down.
That frilled in the wash.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, again, when you're in Havana doing street races for pink slips, saving your cousin, man, you can't be worried about dress codes.
I just thought that skirt was dangerously high in that she was about to be passed by 2 street racers on gravel, and they could kick stones up into areas.
That wasn't gravel. That was the street. They're street racers, son.
Streets.
They were clean
There's no
streets
rocks
of
on the
Havana.
streets in
No,
Havana.
well, they brush it off to make sure she's not wearing protective gear.
Do you think she goes down and like brushes it off and kind of?
No, that's not her job. She's above that.
All right, Matt, tell me what this movie's about.
Oh yeah,
Hit me with the fate of the.
Here we go. Are you ready?
Furious with the.
When a mysterious woman seduces Dom into the world of terrorism and a betrayal of those closest to him, the crew face trials that will test them as never before.
Wait, she seduces Dom into, like, can you imagine like the seducing of terrorism? Hey!
Terrorism? I mean, listen, if anyone could seduce me to terrorism, it's Charlize Theron. I will say that.
Okay, Isis, are you listening to this right now?
That's the recruitment tape, I guess.
If you can pay for Charlize Theron, like
First, step one, get her on board with your agenda, whatever it is. Not just talking any terrorist group. Cobra. I'll take Cobra. If Serpentor gets fucking Charlize Theron to be like, hey, Matt, come on over to this side. We got hover bikes and red lasers. I'll be like, sick.
Would Charlize Theron as Cypher induce you into becoming one of her hired goons?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hired goons?
Yeah.
Hired goons?
Yeah. I also, side note, she looked very, very cool, I think, in this movie. Like
With the long dreadlocks?
With the long dreadlocks, but also there was an interesting thing, like me and, actually I went to see it with Jarrah, friend of the show, from Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood podcast. Yeah. We went and...
Did he like it?
Yeah. But he liked it the same way as I liked it, I think. And it's, we'll get into sort of why and how. But she had like interesting makeup, like contouring her face to look a little different, I thought. She didn't look quite like Charlize Theron. She looked like sort of like mirror image Charlize Theron. I don't know.
Are you talking about like cheek?
Like contouring, like makeup contouring, the way her makeup was done. But it was done differently. I'm saying the style of makeup she wore, I guess, was different than most styles of makeup she wears, not counting obviously Mad Max Fury Road and some other fringe things. But like when you're trying to make Charlize Theron look like Charlize Theron, then this was sort of a little bit of a step back, or not back, just sideways. It was nice. I love you. So let's get into something a little bit before we even dive deep into the movie and get into spoilers, I think.
Okay.
Can you agree? Because look, I
could.
I know. This is my question to you.
Yeah.
You are the hater of fun, which means you have a distinct eye to identify what fun is because you know what you hate. Okay? Just follow me down this rabbit hole. Follow me down this rabbit hole.
Immediately.
You are the Sith of fun.
No, I think you've misinterpreted.
But listen, can you agree that everyone in this movie that's making it is having a wonderful time doing it?
Are the people who are making
the characters, the main actors? I'm talking about the star power behind it. Do you think it's just a paycheck for them? I mean, that's a big part. Of course it is.
It's a $250 million movie.
But just what they get to do. And what you're presented with, they come across, at least to me, like they are having the time of their life doing it.
Is it like the Cannonball Run of films or the Ocean's 12 of films? It doesn't seem like it's fun in that way. It seems like everyone enjoys doing it.
Yeah.
I've heard people don't like each other.
That is true. There is a little bit of a thing, and I don't know. I'm never sure about The Rock and Vin Diesel.
But it seems like, look, if you're an actor, it seems like a fun gig. You get to travel. It's kind of a green screen. It's a guaranteed paycheck. You're probably making residuals at the fucking wazoo.
Yeah. Tyrese doesn't have to work. He can just do this movie every 2 years.
Was Tyrese a model?
Yes.
Or he was, right? Okay, yeah. I think he's on my wife's list. I can't remember.
Stop talking about your wife's list. You get in trouble.
Yeah, I guess. Like, would we have fun if we were side characters in the Fast and the Fate the Furious movie? If like we were like the dumb hackers or something like that, or even if we were like extras that got hit by a car and had to like flail around on the ground.
Sure. I mean, I'd want to hang out a little bit longer than that. But look, I just everything about this. They have Kurt fucking Russell now. They have Jason Statham. They have the two dudes that even had the cameo that are always in the other movies. I
see now that I knew that was important because everyone in my audience
cheered, didn't they?
But I was like, I don't know what this is. Yeah. So Matt, I'm guessing. Look, could you in the ranking of these films?
Oh yeah.
Would you be critical of this one in any way?
Yes. In fact, this is not my favorite.
Okay.
I know I'm talking about it very excitedly because I do think it is worth your time and money. Spoiler alert to the end. However, I do think that Fast 7 was a better Fast and the Furious movie. Okay. Now, the issue...
What is a Fast and the Furious movie?
It is... There is a problem. Now it has turned into... there is a problem on a global scale that only a team of ex-street racers turned kind of military, like a PMC almost, or like contracted people for the government can handle.
PMC?
Personalized military group.
Okay.
Or private.
This is what I didn't understand in the movie.
Or corporation. Private military corporation. There you go.
What is their unique skill skills.
They can drive really fast. They know how to do stuff with
but
cars.
also they're ultimate they're like, are they the best hackers in the world?
Some of them. Okay, so
And also,
okay,
is The Rock also the Hulk?
okay, let's back up.
And is Vin Diesel like Tom Cruise?
This is the problem with jumping in at number 8.
What is
The answer to all of your questions is yes, by the way.
Okay.
But so what happened in 5?
Is gamma radiation.
No, yeah, everyone. Obviously, street racing is illegal. We all know that street racing most places is illegal. Otherwise, it's not street racing. You're racing on a track. It's a race. It's a race.
Okay.
So there's been brush-ins with the law. They're running away from cops before in some of the earlier movies.
Okay.
5 was oh god, I can't remember. It's been so long. They were either framed or they might have been framed. And because they were known to be an illegal street racing team, but they were framed for actually a robbery to distract from another actual robbery that was going on. And The Rock was a part of this special forces group hired to.
But now he's their friend, right?
Yeah, but that's another thing we'll get back to.
Wait, that was 5.
5 or 6, I cannot quite remember.
Okay.
So then. At the end of it, they become friends and they prove their name and whatnot, etc. And there's a theme of that going through most of these films. Is the bad guys a lot of times switch sides and come on to the good guy side. This is actually, that might happen later on. We'll get into full spoilers.
Okay.
There's something truly, and so you didn't come into this with all this previous knowledge, so it's just look at these people, these very pretty people that are just really good at any task they need done. They've slowly collected these people. Ludacris's character was always kind of a hacker. Then Ramsey, the woman from Game of Thrones, played by Nathalie Emmanuel.
I was trying to spot her. I was trying to figure out where she was from.
So she was in, I believe, Fast 6 or 7, where they had to the God's Eye program that they talked about in this film was the red herring of the last film.
Okay.
And she helped develop it.
Okay.
I believe she came in 7. So this is her first continuation.
I'm back. I'm going to make my paycheck every time now.
Which is great, I think. So you lost out on a lot of that.
Yeah.
So the comfort factor is gone for you.
No, but I guess I couldn't even figure out, because I knew there were street racers, but Vin Diesel, and this will bring me to the biggest problem I have with this movie.
All right.
Is I don't understand why Charlize Theron needs Vin Diesel so bad that I'm not going to say what the spoiler is until we get to it.
Sure.
But she needs him so bad, because I was like, is it because he does everything?
Yes. So you have to, in this mythos.
Is it because he's super fast and super furious?
Yes. Dominic Toretto is the fastest and the most furious person on the planet, meaning he never loses.
Yeah.
And now, since that quote never losing has transitioned from street racing to any paramilitary activity at all, he's now sort of the most sought after person for any of that stuff.
For anything. If you want to open a hair salon, this is the guy to get. If you want to skydive in the Bahamas, you got to get Dominic Toretto.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, something I didn't, I guess we're going to start getting into spoilers. Let's just say that right now, because it's going to start, and we're about 23 minutes into me gushing over this thing.
Gush away, by the way. Gush away. Get that seat wet.
When we first, that's gross. The first time we see Charlize Theron's character, aka Cypher, she is this they're in Havana for Letty and Dom's honeymoon, because Letty played by Michelle Rodriguez has died in the movie and then come back, and she was brainwashed by bad guys and then they got her back and it was a whole big thing.
Okay.
I think that was 6 when Letty comes back and was brainwashed.
Are you spoiling the rest of the series for me, by the way?
Are you going to remember it?
I mean...
Nope. So...
I know she's alive.
Yeah, she is alive.
So when she dies, I'm not going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. So sorry. You had your time. Will wanted you to watch all of them, and you just couldn't find the time.
You know what I think is interesting as well is that this first scene reminded me so much of Triple X 2. like the Havana scene was so much Triple X too. I was like, is that what's happened with Triple X? Is Triple X the offshoot of the Fast and the Furious series? Like he just gathers the same crew.
The interesting thing is, I think Triple X happened because Vin Diesel wanted to do like a true action movie and not a car racing movie.
Right.
But then what happened was obviously no one was. Then he didn't want to come back for the sequel, and then now now that he's has a little more producerial control due to the success of the Fast and the Furious, he came back and did an even more over the top thing with the new Triple X.
But now he's stuck with two, and he can't kill one off.
I mean, I have no idea, but what I'm saying is, I think now, and correct me if I'm wrong, the action and sort of the way things, even though the plot of this thing is fucking ludicrous, there's no question about that.
Good word.
But luda. But would you say, I'm curious, do you think this was any more or less ludicrous than Triple X? I'll tell you what I thought after you say something.
So, overall impression. This movie is clearly not made for me. Like the expression I had on my face the whole way was just kind of like a sort of an ugly squint. So
you're looking like Jason Statham. I'm looking like Ludacris. You're looking like Jason Statham.
Yeah, and I was kind of like just looking at the movie, trying to figure it out. I will say that it does what it sets out to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not the audience for this movie, so it's hard for me to say whether it's good or bad because it's ridiculous, it's stupid. But I thought that they did a lot of things well in this film. There are a couple of set pieces that I thought were actually really, really well executed, and they weren't on this. They weren't kind of silly like in Triple X without being. Like they managed to straddle that line of being ridiculous but also sincere and kind of viable to an extent.
The set piece isn't a joke. They set up their world correctly enough where you're like, you know what? Suspension of disbelief. This makes sense in the rules you've created.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I actually, what I thought a lot about was our review of Colossal. With CJ Johnson. Check out that movie and check out that review. He made a point because we both liked that film, and there were like gaping plot holes for him that he couldn't get past. And he said something in that review where he said, I feel like you guys are just making excuses for the movie. And I thought about that comment a lot in the days since that review. And I was like, well, why is it that there can be plot holes in Mission Impossible that I just can't get past? But, he's right. There are plot holes in Colossal that I'm like willing to forgive because I am invested in the overall thrust of that movie.
Did you mean Mission Impossible or did you mean Fast and Furious?
No, Mission Impossible.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure it wasn't
just for example.
Yeah, I got you.
And the thing about, The Fate of the Furious is that this is a ridiculous movie. It's just a ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
You got to say ridiculous like you're slightly drunk when you say it because it's that ridiculous. But
that is not how you sound when you're drunk.
You haven't heard me drunk.
I've heard you drunk.
Have you heard me drunk?
Yep. Not often, but it's happened. I think we might have been in Germany.
Okay, maybe.
When we jet set like the crew in Fast and the Furious.
Is that okay? That they jets. I don't understand why they're so angry. But anyway, I do think that like you can. This film is not asking you to take its narrative seriously. It's asking you to enjoy the verve with which it constructs its set pieces.
Yes.
And I think if you enjoy the characters
and its characters, that's what I'm saying.
Then it's fine. Its characters are wafer thin, and for me, and like just watching this one movie standalone, not having any of the history, they felt like one-liners with bodies attached to them. That's what each character was to me.
I think it's funny you say wafer thin, because
The Rock really needs to put on some weight. That guy is like
he's wasting away.
Like 150.
No, because like I equate it to like this is not like a it's not an onion. It's not something layered as Shrek would put it.
Right.
But what I will say is I don't think they're thin. I think they're just thick with the one thing that they're supposed to be. And that's a weird way of sort of saying it, but like there's enough like I'm trying to think of a franchise that I've cared more about sort of what I'm saying is these characters are all one note. Mm-hmm. I care about them a lot more than any other set of one note characters. Why is that?
Well, I think, and it may just have to be with the amount of time you've spent with them, and you've
maybe, but I've hated half the time.
but the last half is the half you've enjoyed.
It's been wonderful. And I've gone back and watched the other ones, and because of that, I'm like, oh, these are fine.
So it does what it's supposed to do. I thought a couple of the set pieces were really good. I actually thought Charlize Theron as a villain was pretty great.
She chewed scenery like it was the most delicious dinner she's ever had.
They gave her really good monologues, which were like...
She does some truly evil shit.
Yeah, and they really ramped the stakes with her in a really good way. For the most part, I think it never bored me. I was never bored watching. I mean, maybe the first half of it when it was kind of going through the motions of putting the team together and yada, yada, yada and bullshit. And I was like, yeah. But once they kind of got into for the two major set pieces. Yeah, we're going to do this set piece. Then we're going to connect it to this set piece. And this is how they connect. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this. This is actually doing what it's it's delivering what it shows on the box art. I know what I'm getting here, and I'm not gonna hate on it.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think there's a degree of sincerity to this film, which is really odd. And it might have been because one of their major stars died, and I feel like every film pays tribute to that now. Perhaps.
In a way, it was swinging more towards the serious. Obviously, Fast 7 got a lot of love for that being Paul Walker's sort of last film and the way they completed it, and they completed stuff with his brother and like a couple other, like the way they sort of pieced it together. And they did something I think very wonderful. Spoilers for Fast 7, I guess, is they had his character. His character didn't die. His character and his wife like retired. They wanted to be out of the game. And there's a beautiful scene that they put together. Like
really,
yeah. And he it's literally a point where him and Vin Diesel are. It's the most man crushed moment in the world, but they're like best friends, even though they started even the first one, they were adversaries. He was a cop.
Yeah.
And
it was
then
like 21 Jump Street, right? Yeah.
And then it shows them sort of like smile at each other, and it was literally like an aerial shot of them both on a highway on like a beautiful wooded road, and they split off, and like he goes and retires.
The ending of this one a little more ridiculous.
Why is that?
So he spoiled the end of. I mean, I guess.
How are you going to spoil the end of this movie? We already said spoilers.
All right.
There's a cookout.
Okay, no, there's a cookout, and he gets a baby, and does he name it after Paul Walker's character?
Yep.
But if Paul Walker is just a phone call, I mean, it felt like he was naming it because I thought and I didn't realize this. I thought he died in the series.
No, I think it's a meta thing, honestly. At that point, I think that this thing.
But true fact, Vin Diesel did name his daughter after Paul Walker, so I thought they were doing that because of that.
They could have been. That's what I'm saying. It might have been a meta.
So it makes
decision.
It more ridiculous that Paul Walker's just kind of like it'll be like
more ridiculous than anything else in the movie.
I don't know, just like the sincerity of it seems silly now because I was like, oh, that's a sincere little touch.
I love it because killing his characters seems trite.
No, I get that, but I'm saying like,
but you can't start judging the logic of these. Like, I'll take heart over narrative perfected continuity in a Fast and the Furious movie. That just felt like, yes, in this world that they've painted, is the character of Paul Walker alive? Yeah. But in real life, he's not, and like it's just sort of a nice moment.
No, I get that, but the narrative through line that this film paints, it's a minor point, admittedly.
It's just a narrative through line where Charlize Theron can take control of any car in New York and start using it as weapons of mass destruction.
No, this is not that. This is the point where
is this the narrative through line where Dominic Toretto races a flaming wreck of a car backwards and beats a full street racing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how gears work, but what ifs?
Okay, is this the same narrative you're questioning about how a nuclear submarine was definitely dry docked and then all of a sudden it was going into an oceanic channel?
Something like that. No, I was fine with all of those.
But the naming of Vin Diesel's fictitious baby.
Yeah, that really like threw me for a loop because they set up this thing where it was like
you'd have dad brain on this.
Yeah, you could pick the name of the kid, and then at the end of it, he picked what was the name of Paul?
Brian.
So he named him Brian after Paul Walker's character, and I was like, oh well, that's because Paul Walker's character is dead in the series, and it turns out he's not. He's just like holidaying in the Bahamas somewhere or something.
No, he just got out of the game because it was too much.
So when you get out of the game, you never speak of them again. Is that the Is that the thing?
They're respecting his wishes. There's even a part where Letty's like,
wait, so Dominic Toretto has this like hang up because he wants to see Paul Walker again, but he can't. in the world of the Fast and the Furious.
Maybe. I mean,
is he like he's like every day he's at the phone like I really want to call him. I really wanted to send him.
But
an
he's
email.
out of the game.
I want to like send him a Snapchat, but I gotta respect his
Look,
wishes.
it's a meta-
so
yeah.
I'm gonna name my kid after him. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. This
Okay.
probably isn't the best time to bring up the fact that he married Vin Diesel's sister in the movie. So it's actually Mia. Mia is
So he's
is
not
Dom's
talking to his sister.
I don't know.
So he's like, so Vin Diesel's like, man, does Vin Diesel call up Brian and say, hey, guess what, bud? I named my
Maybe,
kid
but also
after you.
maybe he doesn't want. Look, I can make up narrative reasons all day. Maybe he didn't invite him to the cookout because they're all sort of criminals at this point, and he doesn't want to get them back involved with it.
But why does he name his kid after him?
Hold on. You're not gonna like. You're saying that, and I know you have a son. You didn't name him after a friend.
Yeah.
But you can't fathom a world where someone names their kid after their best friend.
I'm saying in this film, it seems like he named him after someone who had passed.
He
But
did. That's the meta narrative.
but
You're
he
literally
hasn't
mixing
passed.
it.
He hasn't passed. He's like away somewhere.
I understand. I love that this is your hang up. I love that this is the moment.
But it's just this realization that he's not dead in the series.
It's meta. It's meta. Don't you see how like yes, he's not dead in the series, but you can name your.
I'm just imagining Dominic like going, man, I really want to call him, but I can't, so I'm just going to name my kid after him.
He would have named it whether he could talk to him or not. He would have named him Brian.
Oh boy. No, I mean, yeah, that seems to be the thing that I have the
I
biggest.
knew you'd have dad brain on this. I have another question as we move forward about another very dad moment. So let me see if I can. I want to see if I can break this down and sort of talk us through it as we go.
Yeah.
So as we said, Letty and Dom are in Cuba on their honeymoon. Of course, that opens with the street race, and of course, it has a fantastic end to it where like he has to drive this junker to save his
flaming in
cousin. He's a
reverse.
flaming wreck, and he does this whole
Do
thing.
you think that's a gay metaphor? Do you think he's like it's some sort of meta narrative of, he's going flaming in reverse. He's driving his car back.
I don't
Do you think
know.
these films and that's why he misses Brian at the end? Is that what?
I don't
No,
think so.
don't think-
Yeah, it's interesting. That's where you went.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm looking.
You know what's interesting though? This is actually an interesting question. I'm surprised there's not a gay character in this movie yet.
Are they heteronormative in this character? Like, does everyone have a girl? Like, could The Rock be gay? Could
Possibly.
Ludacris and
Ludacris and Tyrese are fighting over
But
Ramses.
that's kind of homoerotic, like they could be.
I don't think that's homoerotic. I think that's just sort of like
But do
pounding
you
your
think
chest.
Jason Statham and The Rock could be pounding chests, so to speak, after this is all over?
I mean, possibly. I mean, there's a lot of tension between them. Maybe it's sexual. I don't know.
Do you think Jason Statham is going to become the adoptive father of The Rock's
daughter?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that'd be a spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I would love it if they were like really about to go into it and they kind of like ended up rolling on the ground and then started making out. I think
Okay.
that would work.
Listen, anyone, you can write your own fan fiction, man. It's not like this would be the first time. Just take it. Go throw it on the internet.
Did The Rock have a girlfriend in any of the previous films?
Well, he definitely had to sleep with someone because he has a daughter. I'm trying to think. There was another one.
Could have adopted.
So there was a little bit of, I believe, Elisa or Elise or whatever. The spoiler alert again. Turns out. Well, let's get to it. Sorry, I want to go in order. Sorry. So Cypher finds Dom he sort of blackmails him with an unknown thing, holding up a cell phone, being like, "Guess what, motherfucker?" Now I always thought when I saw the trailer for this, because they don't tell you what it is in the trailer. I thought it was going to be something like they were like watching and holding Mia and Brian and their kid hostage. I thought that's what it was going to be.
That
they
would
were
make sense,
right. So I'm glad that they didn't do that.
But it's cheap to do that because it's like we're
100%.
recycling the image.
So then basically Cypher's like, I'm going to have you. You have to turn against your team. I'm going to put them against the one thing they can't handle, you. And so then it turns out we cut to The Rock at his daughter's soccer game.
Now, did you know what the thing they were doing at the start of the game?
It's the beginning of is that a oceanic thing?
It's a haka.
Yeah.
And
So set up the scene.
Oh, so The Rock is coaching his daughter's soccer game, and he doesn't want to he doesn't want them to lose, otherwise they'll have to go to the Tay-Tay concert. And
Taylor Swift.
And so in order to intimidate the opposing team, they perform a haka, which to my New Zealand brain is a haka is a very special thing. It's something I grew up with. So whenever anyone does a haka, I'm like doing two things, which is one is like, because the haka is meant to like
Intimidate.
No, it's meant to inflame your own spirit.
Oh.
It's meant to make you like pumped up to do this.
Sure.
And so like whenever I see a haka, I get a little pumped up. Now the haka variation wasn't the New Zealand one that I know of, so it's slightly different.
It was probably from where The Rock is from.
Yeah, he's from Hawaii, right?
I believe so.
But yeah, so they do the haka, and and the punchline is the other opposing team is like, I don't want to play no more. And that's it.
So all of a sudden, government spooks come up to The Rock and like, we need you to come back, Hobbs. That's his character's name. Is Hobbs.
This is what I didn't understand here. Why can't the government spooks are like, you're going to do this off the radar, and if you screw up, it's all on you? Because
that's how governments work, Shahir. They're going into another nation, and that's literally why they can't hire. They can't have the military do it. They need to have Hobbs, and now basically
they need to have the best street drivers in the world.
Exactly, and they have to be off the books and people that have known to disappear or shirk accusations and legal trouble in the past. So now it's interesting because in the eyes of the government, now that Hobbs has worked with the crew in the past, like he can call them up and just sort of like whatever. So then it's because they basically are trying to get an EMP away from a terrorist group,
right?
In Germany, I think it was,
and that doesn't seem like the task that a government agency
they couldn't do it because it's a German EMP. They couldn't just attack Germany. So then the team, what I loved about this, there was no setup, there was no nothing. With the first time we see the whole team together again is they just stole the EMP and they're getting away.
Okay.
Because I liked it. I don't need some setup, especially for a first act set up for a twist.
The only question I have about this scene is, how did Ludacris get a smiley face on that wrecking ball? And why didn't the music team license Wrecking Ball? That's
all
the only
questions, all very good questions. So they're driving away, and Luda has this thing planned where he hits a remote, and then a wrecking ball swings down, smashing a ton of police officers, probably murdering them. There's a lot of murder in this that everyone just laughs off.
Collateral damage here.
And
why was this off the books now? All of a sudden, they've just murdered fucking 30 people.
Because you can't murder people on the books and then go home and have a clean conscience. So they succeed, and they're getting away, and they all split up, and then The Rock and Vin Diesel are driving. Hobbs and Dom are driving next to each other, and he's like, "Oh, great job, brother. Drinks on me." Double cross. Dom smashes into him, knocking his car, flipping it, and takes the EMP and drives away.
Now, just structurally, wouldn't the scene have been better if it was the opening of the film and we didn't know that Dom was going to double cross?
No.
Really?
I liked it.
Really?
I liked it. I liked the buildup of because again, the surprise of double crossing was given away in the trailer, which I know you didn't watch.
Mm-hmm.
But the double cross. This is the thing. This is the gimmick, and I'm not saying it's as pertinent, but the type of gimmick it's doing is the Terminator 2 gimmick. It's doing the thing where it's flipping a hero to a villain or vice versa.
Right, but in Terminator 2, you didn't. I mean, unless you watched the trailer, you didn't know that he was a hero or villain when he.
No, I understand that, but I never experienced it that way, so I don't care.
Right.
They marketed that all wrong and whatever.
Right. I'm just saying, wouldn't that moment have been a better moment?
See, no, I could see why someone coming in from this point as the beginning could see that, because you don't have to tie with Dom. The whole thing about this thing is Dom and his family. So to have him flip.
Shocking?
No, that would feel cheap to me, where this was like, we saw as much as Vin Diesel can do, the emotional pathos of he doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it, and we don't quite know why, and that sets up more of an interesting stakes as opposed to, oh, he did this, now we're trying to go back and figure it out. The mystery of why is still there, but I like it because it doesn't feel cheap, it feels set up.
Right. I guess the only thing is because it undermines the next time Dom kind of does a double cross and he suddenly he's being kissed by Charlize Theron.
Well, he just does that. I watched that scene very closely, and he doesn't
leaned into the screen.
I did. I rubbed my chin, and I was like, "Listen,
hold hands during this moment."
No, but you can hold hands with your bro anytime you want. You hear?
All right. I didn't see this movie with anyone, so.
Oh, buddy, next time we'll go see Fast 9 together.
No.
What? No, I just think that the entire that moment actually comes later. So sorry. Dom gets away with the EMP, and then the whole crew's like, "Oh my god, we don't know why this happened. That's so crazy." And then we find out why Dom does it. Basically, Dom has Elena, who is a love interest, I believe, in 5, who also worked with The Rock. And Letty was dead.
Okay.
And then then Dom and then Elena
How long was she dead before he hooked
6 full movie.
A full movie?
I think she died in 4. He was with her in 5. She comes back in 6.
Okay. How long is like the duration of a movie? Is it like a week? Because this movie felt like
That'd be great if it was all just 1 week.
It feels like this movie took
week.
place over the course of a week.
I mean, they traveled a lot. I don't know if that's possible.
It seemed like it was. Like,
well, they're jet setting. I don't know. So it turns out Dom has a son.
Right, which is the thing that they were talking
that they're
about.
holding against, and Cypher has kidnapped both Elena and his son, who he didn't know about. Elena kept it from Dom because she respected Letty's and his actual true love and wanted to wait until they were out of their honeymoon to tell him.
So Letty, this must have been at least 9 months. Plus, maybe that kid looked about 8 months.
Dude, timeline splitting in this film is going to break your brain.
Okay.
So then, then Hobbs got arrested, but then Mr. Nobody, played by the one, the only Kurt Russell.
Was he in other franchises?
He was in the last one only. He's a newer edition.
What does he do?
He's just a government spook for government spooks.
Okay, so the governments are all over this.
Yeah.
But they keep putting him in prison.
It's just like real life. It's just like this is how you solve things in Trump's America.
Okay, gotcha. I'm with you.
So he comes and then Hobbs is like, no, like don't break me out. I got to get out the right way because he's a Boy Scout. But then he gets thrown into a cell next to Deckard, played by Jason motherfucking Statham.
Former Olympic diver, by the way.
Who was the villain in the last Fast and the Furious movie. Also, who killed one of the mainstays from Tokyo Drift, Han. Okay. There was a retcon at the end of 6 revealing that Jason Statham blew up the car that Han died in 3. That's why the timeline's so messed up, Shahir, you see.
Okay.
I know you're just glassed over and you're not interested in timeline splitting, and that's fine.
No, my question is like, so who was Han to everyone else?
Just a friend. He was in 5 and 6, and then I believe he died in 7.
But he died in 3.
Oh, sorry. No, he doesn't die. You're right. I'm sorry. He drives away with his girlfriend, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Gal died in 6 or 7, and then Han said he was out, and then he said, maybe I'll go to Tokyo, and then that's why Tokyo Drift happens later in the chronology, even though they're all using flip phones, and you can't really explain that in the chronology.
Do they know that Jason Statham killed their friend?
Yep.
Are they pissed about it?
Yeah, they were. Oh, they were real pissed about it until now.
Okay.
But then they so this is the weird part. This is why I think this film.
Why did he kill him?
Fast 8. Because Jason Statham was the brother of the other guy who played Gaston. What the hell is his name?
What you don't realize, I just ask Matt questions and then I go to my phone to like do other things.
Luke Evans. Owen Shaw was the villain in 6 who had brainwashed Letty.
Yeah.
Into working for his crew.
Cool.
After Dom took down Owen and put him in the hospital, then Deckard decided, you know what? I'm going to start killing off your crew one by one. So he went to Tokyo and blew up fucking Han's car. He's like, I'm coming for you next, Toretto. And then that's the start of 7.
Oh, and okay.
Vengeance. So
wait, so he was the bad guy in 7 as well?
He was the bad guy in 7. Owen was the bad guy in 6. And apparently, Cypher's been pulling the strings all along. That's what she said. She was controlling things when they were in like Dubai and like all these other places.
Okay.
Sure. So then Hobbs gets put in with Deckard, but then Mr. Nobody decides fuck it anyway, makes a big cool prison break scene, and then Rock tries to chase down Jason Statham.
I like Rock getting shot by like rubber bullets and like them bouncing off him like he is the Hulk.
Yeah. He's just too strong. There's a scene in 7 you would have loved where Jason Statham's character, Deckard, puts him in the hospital, like beats the shit up and throws bombs at him and shit. And after he heals near the end of the movie to walk down the streets of LA with a minigun to take out drones, he has a cast on and he basically breaks the cast off just by sheer bicep power.
Bicep flexing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the
Daddy's got to go to work, Shahir.
This is the stuff where like all of this stuff that we've described is like I was kind of like, I'm not really into this.
Because you weren't in, because you don't know.
Yeah.
So then they get recruited. Then all of a sudden, you have to work with to take down Dom. We have to work with Deckard, and no one's happy about it. Okay. And The Rock and him have like a flip floppy, like angry at each other, but then they like become friends again, which is nice because I like that sort of thing, but also super awkward because Deckard murdered a fuck ton of people.
Okay,
but then again, the crew has murdered a fuck ton of people inadvertently, so maybe they just don't give a shit.
Okay.
So then the next thing that Charlize Theron has Dominic Toretto Toretto do is he has to go to New York City, which
he had to break into.
Oh, sorry, that's right, because he wanted to steal the God's Eye to figure out where this nuke was. So they had to steal the God's Eye. He breaks into whatever Mr. Nobody's headquarters and basically concuss grenades everybody and makes out with Charlize Theron. Actually, Cypher makes out with Dom to piss off Letty because she's a bitch.
Does Cypher know who Liddy is?
Yes. Well, she's been doing all this recon on them the entire time. She's been watching and sort of pulling from the strings.
Again, why does Cypher need
Toretto. Because he's the best, Shahir. He's the best at what he does.
Like she can. Okay, we'll go to the next scene and then we'll.
Look, just because she has the wildling leader from Game of Thrones on her side. Yeah. What's that actor's name? I like him a lot too. I can't. Oh, Christopher Hivju.
Sure.
Hivju.
Okay.
He's in this too. He's wonderful. So,
he's like a fantastic marksman, I guess.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
So, basically, so then they get away with God's Eye, so they can't track them. Then they still track them. then they have to go to New York City. Yeah. And they have a great sequence where Dominic Toretto is on the road, and then he has to like pull over because apparently his car is messing up because he has a kill switch, and he puts the hood up, and then you see he's kind of working against Cypher hidden by the hood of a car. Was Helen
Mirren in a previous?
Nope, Helen Mirren. So he meets with Helen Mirren, who you don't quite know who Helen Mirren is in the beginning of this conversation, but something's going to go on. He goes back and he finishes the job, being that he steals a football nuke being driven around New York City by a German. Russian.
Well, why would a football nuke be driven around in a limousine?
Or was it the codes? Maybe it was. No, it wasn't. That's not the nuke itself. It was just the codes because they needed.
Codes.
Yeah,
it's the football. It's the nuclear football.
Sure. So
side note: that car had a machine gun built into the roof of it.
Also true. I actually own one of those in GTA, and they're the most fun thing to drive in that game. So you know it's good.
Okay.
So I did the research in my own lab. They then Vin Diesel gets it, but then the crew.
No. You just missed the biggest thing.
Oh shit! Charlize Theron, from your quote, no one's going to be ready for this or whatever. She takes control of every car that has sort of an auto drive function.
Do cars have auto drive?
Some of them do.
Apparently,
yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of a terrifying thing if you think about it. Once we get sort of automated cars, the ability for people to hack in and fuck with you.
All right, but so she can like literally. She can create a zombie army of cars which she can drive into.
Or out of multi-level parking garages
but she needs Toretto to be the guy that goes to pick up the
to wear the Deathstroke mask and wear the armor.
I thought it was the Friday the 13th mask.
Oh, no, because I thought it was painted. I don't know. DC Extended Universe. So...
but is this literally what Toretto's for?
Yeah, because then he needed to get away. He's great at getting away. So then he's getting away.
But maybe if she like didn't make such a big scene of it. And also, doesn't like the God Zone thing mean that none of these people would have been there anyway?
What do you mean? God's Eye.
God's Eye thing. Like, she stole the God's Eye so that no one could track her. And so she just went in and kind of took the nuclear football in a sort of more surreptitious way.
Yeah.
Then she wouldn't need Toretto to like be the getaway driver, right?
Yeah, but if you had the ability to hack all those cars, wouldn't you just want to do it?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
admittedly, I thought this scene was well staged.
Yeah. Despite
being ridiculous, it was kind of big and explosive.
And I hadn't seen something like that before.
And funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's getting away with the football. But then his team corners him and basically like ropes and quarters him and like in a weird like sort of everyone cables him and they're pulling him. But then like
I like this scene.
Yeah. And then he manages to like outmaneuver them because he's Dominic fucking Toretto.
Also, his car has like 12,000 horsepower in it.
Yeah, a million horsepower.
Yeah.
A bajillion infinity plus one horsepower.
As he said at the beginning, it doesn't matter about the car. All that matters is the driver.
Yeah.
So he's just a really good
driver now in an infinite horsepower vehicle.
Right.
So he manages to flip a bunch of people and whatever, and then he gets away. And Letty chases him on foot, and then they have a moment where he won't shoot Letty. And Game of Thrones dude has to come and finish sort of the job, and Letty gets away, and blah blah blah. So then this is where Charlize Theron really took me as like the villain.
Right. Yeah, I did like this scene.
She straight up murders Elena for Vin Diesel's sort of insolence in not shooting Letty right away and getting. Oh, side note, he guns down Jason Statham's character.
It's interesting because narratively, this just has to happen.
Yes,
like it doesn't make because the whole arc of the movie is Vin Diesel ready to be a father, And in order, he's not going to get Michelle Williams pregnant in this movie, so he's going to have a baby delivered to him.
Michelle Williams.
Is it Michelle
Rodriguez? This ain't Dawson's Creek. He's not sleeping with Jen.
Okay, gotcha. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Spin off.
Yeah. So he's like narratively, she needs to die,
and they take her out in a very sort of sad, sort of real way that makes Charlize Theron more villainous.
Thank
you, Skeletor laugh. Wow, I've trained.
No, Skeletor's got more of a.
What was the one you just did? So,
That's not Skeletor.
They both are.
No, Skeletor doesn't do a.
Out of everything I have in this apartment, as long as you've known me, I think I'm more of the expert on Skeletor than you. He's done both.
I watched He-Man all the way growing through.
I watched it a month ago. Don't fuck with me on this. This is if there's one thing I can unobtrusively say I am an expert in, it is fucking Skeletor.
Skeletor's laugh was that.
It is, but he also does the other one. Yes.
No, I don't think it's Skeletor. It depends.
Well, you're wrong. This is the one thing I will say unabashedly on this podcast. You are wrong. So after this, there's one more set piece. So now, Cypher has all the things she needs, right? She has the EMP and she has the codes to this the nukes on a submarine. And the reason she's doing this is a bit of a sort of selfish yet quote altruistic reason of like she wants to keep the world
like
powers in checks.
Yeah, she's like anonymous.
Yeah, she's like, listen, I want them to think, what will I do when they do something?
Side note, she has a plane that can travel undetected from country to country. Mm-hmm. Why should he Dom again?
Because he's the best at driving his quadrillion horsepower car in and out of places. You're not following the divine logic of this film, Shahir.
And my other question is it the same car every time? Like,
yeah. He doesn't give up that car.
Okay.
Fix it, repair it, throw more grappling hooks or fucking torpedoes or whatever the fuck he's got to put in it.
When does he fix it? And like, when does he?
When he pulls over in the middle of the street and has to get like a spark plug.
Is he the only one that like fixes it? Is he like?
Yeah, because no one can touch that car but him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Man. So this is serious
Must be
shit.
A special car.
Yeah, it's a very special car.
He loses virginity in it.
It's literally you can't even fathom how many horsepower in that car. Like it's like
did he lose his virginity to a horse in that car?
I can't say what happened or what was the magic sauce, quote unquote, that really made it come together. All I know is that car has an infinite number of fasts it can go and Furiouses. So don't really question.
And he's being controlled by Furiosa.
See, now I feel like you're getting on board here. You're fucking getting into this shit.
The film suddenly clicked.
Yeah,
it's
there
amazing.
We go.
5 stars.
So
Thank you. Let's wrap this up.
Wrapping this up, they end up Siberia? Where was it?
Some Russian
cold place.
Yeah.
Not Coldplay. Coldplay does not make an appearance.
They should have.
So
they should have done the rendition of Wrecking Ball.
No, that would be good. That would be good.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
That's the worst of everything you've ever done. So Dom rides in with the EMP. It was like a terrorist organization that took over a Russian military base. He blows all of the electronics.
There's a lot of superfluous information for like, it doesn't matter, right?
Sure.
Like,
by the way, they went to the toy shop beforehand, which is all the impounded vehicles in New York City that the crew gets to then pick anything that they want from.
Including a tank. And for some reason, Tyrese decides to take a Lamborghini.
An orange Lamborghini.
To a snow covered area.
And they make fun of him.
He forgets to get snow tires?
It makes fun of him. It's fine.
He forgets snow tires?
He's the jokester. He's all flash, no substance. And then and then so him and Taj get into a big sort of fight. Ludacris' character. They're just sort of joking around and
let me get this straight as well. The EMP can basically knock out the gates. Right,
but the submarine is shielded, so you have to go in.
Okay, and re-knock out the submarine.
Yep.
But it comes back online like 30 seconds later anyway.
Sure, and also they don't close the hatch of the submarine when they run out of the submarine.
I feel like that's Submarine 101.
But then it's all of a sudden in the water and they're being chased by it. So
Submarine 101, close the hatch.
So they're going after them because they stole the launch boards, I guess, from the submarine, and they're chasing them to get the launch boards back.
Like, why didn't they just break the launch boards?
I don't know. Because then they wouldn't have a cool chase on ice where there was a bunch of vehicles and then a submarine chasing a bunch of cars like an orange Lamborghini.
Again, thought the scene was well staged.
Yeah. Even Tyrese gets a moment of like super heroism, like when he like hits snowmobilers off with a car door and like shoots a bunch of people. And then
The Rock throws a torpedo at someone.
Well, to be fair, it's sliding on the ground and he just repositions it to go.
I'm sorry, the Hulk throws a torpedo.
Also, there was a thing, I guess the British Royal Service or whatever like tweeted at The Rock being like, hey, we'd really love to have you on our submarines. Like, and he's like, hey, I'm talking to the Queen tomorrow. Like, this is a thing that happened. Like, someone watched it in the military over there and was like, this is hilarious.
You'll believe The Rock.
Oh, side note. So this entire time, because Dom is still technically against the crew, Jason Statham and Owen Shaw, who are back from the dead, land, fly in jetpacky style into the secret plane of Cypher to then launch a rescue of Vin Diesel's child.
Yeah.
Now, this is the scene I thought was interesting very for you because I thought you'd have dad brain of it. This is Owen Shaw
what
goes.
I was thinking the whole time during that is like, you don't put headphones on a baby and blast music at it. That is really bad for that baby's hearing.
See, there you go. I knew you'd come at it with a different angle than I would.
But that's the only thing I was thinking about. I was like,
but was it Chipmunks?
But it's bad. It's bad. I wouldn't ever do that to my kid.
Well, I think that's better. Is that better than gunshots?
The safe thing to do is to put the kid somewhere safe, then go and kill everyone.
But someone could come and take it again.
And then you just go back and kill them.
But also, you don't get Jason Statham making Gucci Goo noises and like flipping the baby around and then the baby like super happy and like fun and enjoying himself amongst all the murder.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because there was a lot of murder in this scene.
And he's super thrilled about it.
Yeah. And no, he does the thing, which was like, was that you? Like, oh no, it was him, who pooped their pants.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
So then eventually Cypher gets away.
To live another day.
Yep. She'll be back.
She'll be back.
She signed a 3-picture deal. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then they get away, and then Dom, knowing the baby is safe, gets to finally turn and save everyone from the submarine. They launched heat seekers.
How did The Rock know they were heat seekers? They literally came out of the submarine.
Because The Rock is a tactical military expert, and he can identify a heat seeker a mile away. Are you telling me you can't identify a trauma film when you see it? Come on, it's just a different vocation, and The Rock is able to do these sort of things.
Why didn't they fire the heat seeker to begin with?
But escalation of the storyline and the action, Shahir, and also they were getting all the systems back online. And have you ever piloted a nuclear fucking Russian submarine remotely from a plane a gajillion miles away? No. It's a little bit hard, but especially when you're trying.
Apparently, Charlize Theron has.
Well, this is the first for anything. She's very good at it. She's sort of trying to quote fly underwater blind. It was wonderful. And eventually Dom saves the day.
Jumped in on the deep end, literally.
Yeah. And then they save the day and it's all great. And then Letty gets Dom back and then they have a fucking cookout and they're all friends and family.
What do you think the Furious eat at a cookout?
You saw it. It was a bunch of good steaks and some fucking grilled veggies and like
The Rock seems like he's on a diet most of the time. He seems like he's one of those guys that's cutting and shredding. So like, is he only eating salad? Vin Diesel seems like he'll down a steak.
Sure, but I think in this universe where The Rock is the immortal god of manliness, he could eat whatever he wants and it doesn't matter.
But there were like brownies on the table.
Yeah, he'd probably house those fucking brownies and then he'd go to the gym and work out like 9 hours like a fucking beast.
Do you think he binge works out? Like he's sad?
In real life or like Hobbs the character?
Hobbs the character. Do you think like he like eats and he goes, I'm so fat, and he goes to the gym and he like cries and works out at the same time?
No, I think he
you could shoot him with a bullet and he's gonna get mad at you like the Hulk, but if he eats like a packet of brownies, he's gonna get, I'm so sad.
I mean, I don't see it. I could see maybe like I could see Tyrese's character maybe doing that, or maybe Vin Diesel gets sad. I don't know, but The Rock for some reason.
I just want to see these characters sad eat, like be downing like too much steak and like feeling bad about themselves.
Just a real great night at Peter Luger's.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, look, I can't give you that, and I'm sorry that that's what you want. I doubt it's going to happen. So, what's it called? Deckard comes back with new baby Brian, and they name him.
They name him baby,
and then everyone's cool with Deckard for some reason. Yeah, and they kind of like talk through. It's like because Cypher had all this shit on me, and now like I've got my revenge, and it's fine. Okay. So like that's the way like all the murder was justified.
Not their murders. Not the murders that they've committed.
No, the murders that Deckard committed is because he was trying to get his brothers being blackmailed, and it turned out that Helen Mirren was actually Owen and Deckard's mother, and she orchestrated the entire thing.
Does this retcon anything else in this series?
Only the fact that Deckard seemed like Deckard and Owen both seemed super fucking evil, like super evil. But it turned out that it was actually Cypher pulling all the strings, basically the same way she did with Dom.
That bitch.
And then we're left with them at the cookout. I think
They should have ended with, I don't want to wait.
they should have. They could have pulled out, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And that's basically. I think there's a little teaser tag thing at the end about like
The Fast and the Furious will return.
something like that. I just don't even remember.
I remember reading a story that and I'm sure this is like marketing on the part of the film where like Vin Diesel and The Rock are angry at each other all the time in real life, and they cut it like
They cut out the after credit scene as the story because it was an extra credit scene of The Rock and Statham getting ready to fight, and then
they make out.
And then they make out. No, and then because there was talk of them getting a spinoff. And I don't think, and Vin Diesel's like, no, fuck that. And then
how much money do you think Vin Diesel has made from this one movie?
Enough.
Right.
I mean, who the fuck knows?
Like, how much if you're Charlize Theron, Oscar winner Charlize Theron, how much do you need to be paid to be in the Fast and the Furious?
I think Vin Diesel can afford it.
No, but I'm saying, I'm just.
I don't know. I can't speak for her. I would do this for $10. I mean, what? That's a silly question. How can we know that?
Because that's why these movies keep getting made, right? Like, because they print money.
Understood.
So how much money?
But I don't have an answer for that, and any number we give is superfluous. We're just making it up. Okay. How much money do I think Charlize Theron needs to make Fast and Furious or Fate of the Furious? I will say $10 million.
That seems low.
Look, I don't know. I am not her. I'm not in her inner circle. Miss Theron, if you'd like me to be in your inner circle, you can reach me at MatthewKroll.com. Shahir's literally typing it, trying to find what her. I doubt you'll be able to find
the Fast and the Furious franchise.
But yeah, so Shahir.
Okay.
I do want to get into your final thoughts on this film. Or do you want me to go first? I'll happily go first and you can have the final word.
Sure.
So I enjoyed my time in the theater as per usual. The audience did too. There was a ton of cheering, gasps, and sort of clapping at the end, which I think is both endearing and hilarious. Everyone looks like they're having a ton of fun. I said that before, and I love that. The VFX and the stunt work were on point. All the set pieces, even at their most ridiculous, still looked nice and crisp and believable in that sort of right. The plot, personally, was the most over the top of any of them. It came, honestly, Shahir, it came dangerously close, I feel like, to breaking the formula. Mm-hmm. It didn't for me, but like I'm curious what 9 will be, because like if there
isn't it the Fast and the Furious in space?
If it's, I mean, 10 has to be space. I feel like they can't jump the shark at 9.
Right.
So like, I don't know, but the interesting part of this for me, and this is something that Jirah had said, and I've heard other people say, and I 100% agree, is the reason why I think this film works. Mm-hmm. It's the male equivalent of a soap opera.
Wait, now you're saying soap operas are exclusively female?
I'm saying for the most part, viewership of soap operas is female. And it's because and again, I'm generalizing, of course, but like, for instance, and I'll say this fully admitting that I came home from school and watched General Hospital with my mother. I know all about Port Charles, so don't fuck with me on that. What I'm saying is they are marketed certain ways.
Right.
Soap operas, I feel like, are marketed for a female audience.
Okay.
You don't agree? You think they're marketed for a male audience?
I just think you're going to stretch to like to correlate a TV thing versus a film thing. I think.
But I'm feeling the type of story. I mean, this whole thing, the Fast and the Furious franchise, it's all of like, it has bravado and it has, quote, manliness and all this stuff, but it also has honor and family and constantly wishy-washy sort of who's on what side. And like,
first?
It just has this sort of fluidity to it of its characters where like all of a sudden Vin Diesel's bad and Statham's good. Like, and it does it and it writes those solutions, albeit sometimes they're sillier than others, into it. I just feel like as far as a genre is concerned of this style of story, not action, story, a soap opera is the closest I can equate it to.
Okay.
And having watched a lot of soap operas. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And I think that's a good thing. I think a lot of times these and I think Triple X is guilty of this, but a lot of times these sort of like super bravado action-y nonsense movies fail because they lose the heart of it, or they either lose the heart or treat the heart too almost intellectually for the masses in which this film is sort of targeted at to really latch onto, where this film really punches you in the face with it. And punches you in the face with heart. That's my review of the Fate of the Furious.
I think the reason why these films are successful is that their governing premise is to deliver ridiculous action scenes that are trying to top the previous one. And I think the reason it's successful is because of that. I don't think the soap opera thing works because I don't think anyone cares about the narrative storylines of these characters. As you said yourself, they flip all the time.
Oh, they do, but I think, but it's the characters themselves. I don't want to but I will say this, and write us in and prove me right or wrong. Like, there are people, a ton of people that are way more passionate about these characters than I am because they're simple, they're easy to latch onto, and they can, and people.
But I don't think you care if one of them dies.
You do.
Right?
That's the weird part, and you don't, and I understand why you don't because you're jumping in.
I'm guessing. I'm trying to think, like like when Michelle Rodriguez died.
That was a big deal in 4.
Was it?
Yeah,
it was a big.
And her coming back was a big deal in 6. Like it has weight to it.
To me, I guess the thing is that it seems like what has been driving this is like, can we make this more ridiculous than last? And I actually believe that is a noble cause.
That's the driving force, but I think what helps keep it from just being something that no one gives a shit about, a bigger explosion to a bigger explosion, is coming back to these characters that, while very simple, now are household names for people that are involved with this.
And I think, maybe there's something to that in the fact that I think this is kind of playing in the same ballpark as Mission Impossible, but seems to have more personality.
Yes.
And I think, it's something that they've trying to inject into Mission Impossible by having recurring characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, it's one of those things where it's like, it does what it set out to do. I was impressed by the staging of those scenes. F. Gary Gray, who directs this.
We didn't drop his name yet. He did Straight Outta Compton.
He's been around for a while. Like, his first film was Friday.
He's wonderful.
But then I think, it's an interesting thing to look at the trajectory of every director that's worked on these films. It's always been someone who has done like a low budget indie that did well, and then that wanted to jump into like action movies. And that's an interesting thing because I think it's people who are not like within the studio system necessarily,
but have a love for the genre. So I think that kind of works in their favor. Like John Singleton, Justin Lin, F. Gary Gray. I think Rob Cohen was the first one, and he directed the first XXX movie as well, which are both films that I think are lackluster in terms of their execution of action. Either way, it does what it sets out to do. People really enjoy it. I took some visceral pleasure in the execution of those scenes. Like, I was like, oh, that's impressive. I was kind of like, for a movie about high like illegal street racing, the racing isn't that exciting. What's exciting but it's not about that anymore.
Is the explosions. Like that's what it's about, is like the carnage essentially.
Are they from Explosia?
Explosia, yeah.
Well, Explosion sounds like a race. So.
Yeah, it's next to Eternia, as it turns out.
Oh, nice. Maybe Hordak's from there.
I don't know who that is.
She-Ra's villain. Keep. There you go.
No, it does what it's gonna do. It's not a movie for me. I have wanted to watch Fast 5. Like, I don't want to go through the whole thing. I just want to get like cheap thrills from this.
You could start at Fast 5.
Yeah, I would. That's like I would watch this just for like cheap thrills. And if it delivers on that level, then more power to you. And it's like, it does what it's supposed to do. I'm not that interested in that, but I don't think that matters. I'm not that interested in this film and world, but they're charming. There is a certain charm to them, and there is a certain personality to them. So that doesn't matter really. And it brings me back to that point that we were talking about with Colossal, which is like, are you willing to forgive things if you're on board with are you willing to forgive a tear in the sail if the ship is moving in the right direction? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. And that's what I think this is.
So I think, and I'm going out on a limb here, that my original thesis that you would like it, it kind of holds water.
I'll go this far. I didn't hate it. Would I ever watch it again? I don't think so.
But would you watch the other ones?
I would. I'm curious to see Fast 5 because everyone says it's better than this one.
I would say then that you you liked it. I mean, I'm not saying
it's not better than the best Mission Impossible film.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
This is a thing we deal with a lot here on the only podcast about movies. It does, just because you like something doesn't take away. Just look, you don't have to piss on my candle to make another one burn brighter.
No, that's totally fine. What I mean is that if I had a choice to watch this again, or
I know, but that's
Mission,
not my question. My
I would
question
choose
is,
that
did you like it? And I think, even though you're not saying it, if you just said you liked it, that would sort of end the conversation.
I guess the problem is I'm not sure I liked it. I don't know myself whether I liked it or not. I didn't hate it. I think I liked it.
It sounds like you liked it. It's okay to say that.
I think I liked it. I think I liked it.
All right, you know what? I'll take it. I think I liked it, because we have been going for a while now, and I could just keep hounding you, but we don't have time for that. Guys, this has been the only podcast about the film The Fate of the Furious. Shahir, when you are not being asked to ingest films that you should hate, but kind of sort of you're not sure if you like, where can folks find you?
You can find me at shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD.com with links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Matt, when you are not making metaphors that seem really stretchy at a thesis that I don't believe had any weight, where can people find you?
You can find me at MatthewKroll.com. That's MatthewKroll.com. Also Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ on Instagram. Yup, let it be a lesson to you, Shahir. And also Emperor MSK on Twitter. Also, you can find our podcast at onlymoviepodcast.com. Write us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Onlymoviepods our Twitter. Check out our Facebook page. And of course, leave us dem iTunes reviews.
Getting more of the reviews. Really, really enjoying reading the reviews.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And guys, I mean, this is a huge thing. This is episode 99. Next week is 100. We have some special shit planned for you.
In the Malcolm Gladwell spectrum of things, are we experts at this now?
I guess, because what is it, 10,000 hours?
It's 10,000 hours, so it's 100 hours, but then there's a lot of behind the scenes.
There's a lot of behind the scenes. Okay, we're not experts yet.
Yeah, we're not experts.
We'll come up with a different yardstick for that, and we'll get back to you. But we're really excited. I can't wait. We're super pumped to show you sort of what we have in store.
Or let you hear it.
Because life is a highway, Shahir.
I do want to ride it.
All night long.
I'm not sure if I want to ride it. Some nights I wanna. I'm not sure if I like riding.
Well, I mean, Dom would say for those 15 seconds or less that you ride it, you're free.
Am I free?
Live life a quarter mile at a time, Shahir.
I'm finally free.
We'll see you next week.